verse 3 is the greatest verse in this chapter. Because verse 3, he looks at them and says, I'm doing a great work. I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? I am doing a great work. I cannot come down. Some of you have come down from a great work. And you came down because of a good work. Even if there wasn't deception, even if they weren't trying to trick him and get him out there to that plain where they could either kill him or invade Jerusalem, even if there was truth, and even if there's truth in your life about something good that comes along, be very, very careful about distractions. Don't ever leave a great work for a good work. Remember the words of Nehemiah. I'm doing a great work. I cannot come down. I'm doing a great work. I cannot come down. You know what it means? I'm doing a work that matters. I'm doing a work that's really about why I'm here. It's about the purposes of God in my life. And I don't want to leave that to go chase something else because I'm very comfortable in my skin. I believe this is why God put me here, and I'm going to stay on the wall, and I'm not coming down. Wouldn't that be an awesome way to live the rest of your life? Instead of chasing all these things that call to you, all these things that appeal to you, that look good, and they do look good. But what is the great work that God has called you to do? What is the ultimate? What is the purpose? What is it that God put you on this earth to do? That's the work. You can't come down. In Philippians chapter 1, verse 10, there's this great prayer of Paul for the Philippian church. And he says, I pray that you will have all discernment and that you will approve what is excellent. And if you take the little phrase excellent, in the Greek, it literally means you will approve what matters. He prays they will have discernment to know what matters. Here's what I ask of you to pray for me. Every week across my desk, I get opportunities for us to support this ministry, this mission, this thing, this thing, this thing. And they're all good. But I got to ask myself, David, what is the purpose for which God has called you? What is the great work He's given you to do that nobody else can do? Don't leave the wall. God, give me the sense enough to know the difference between a good work and a great work. Here's a question you can ask. The question that Nehemiah asked was this. In verse 3, this is what he said. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? Here's a great question to ask yourself. Why should you leave doing what you're doing? If you're serving God in a certain way, if you're ministering in a place, if you're following out a purpose in your life, just ask yourself the question, why should you leave that? If you believe that's what God's called you to do, why should you leave it? Here's what I want you to understand. The burden of proof is on leaving it. What I mean by that is, you know you're doing a great work. You know that what you're doing feels great and you've got a peace about this and a contentment. So for something else to come along and distract you or to call you off of that wall, you got to know for sure, why should I leave what I'm doing? That's a question you can ask your Father. Father, why should I leave what I'm doing? But God, I will leave it if you call me. But God, you've got to show me. If you'll ask that question, most things that come along will be exposed as distractions and not true callings of your life. Stay where you are until you get a sure answer why you should leave that work.